Welcome to the Democrat Perspective podcast. In this podcast, we talk about politics and the news from a Democrat perspective. This is the first episode of the podcast, and we have a special guest, Election Forecast.
Hi.
And we are going to be talking first about George Santos. But first, we should show the funny picture of the week. In this segment, we show a funny picture of politics and discuss about it just because we can. This picture is Joe Manchin and Mitt Romney in the mountains. What's your thoughts on this picture?
It's nice.
I love this picture. It really shows how Mitt Romney's Joe Manchin's only friends, and I love that the senators can have fun outside. But it's a pretty funny picture. Also, a new picture that came out recently is Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders. Maybe that will be the next picture for the funny picture of the week.
This is like the best segment ever.
Yeah, I agree. Now we're going to talk about the news. First, we're going to talk about George Santos. So, obviously, George Santos had a lot going on for him, a lot of stuff. He's now being investigated for multiple lies. Some of his lies include experience working for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, being Jewish, his mom dying on 9/11, getting robbed for rent money, and his grandparents dying in the Holocaust. So a lot of this makes sense why he would lie about this. Lying about his experience with a lot of prestigious, fancy companies would obviously help because he does have a lot of experience outside of that. So he doesn't have a lot going for him outside of that, people could say. So that's why. Being Jewish, obviously, the New York has a very high population. High Jewish population. And obviously, he would want to target and try to win them, just like Lee Zeldin tried to do, and it did work for him. Mom died on 9/11. 9/11. Everybody doesn't like 9/11, and yeah. So, what's your thoughts on this election forecast?
I don't know, man. I'm not. I don't know if he's gonna resign or not. I hope he does, but
the resignment thing, the Republicans are kind of screwed in this district. George Santos is not running again. He announced it. So that's good for the Republican Party. But George Santos is just another example, really, of why Republicans should not be trusted. The Republican Party is full of liars. One of their main talking points, a lot of politicians' talking points, is a big lie. The big lie that the election was stolen. And it's obviously, the American people are obviously not happy with it. Obviously, basically every single election denier candidate lost in 2022. So election denierism is not a good thing. But the thing about this, a lot of people are going to say that it's not a really big issue that George Santos lied about this stuff. It's not that big of a deal. Even if George Santos lied about what he had for breakfast, I think, in my opinion, it's still a big deal. Because if he lies on one thing, how do we know he's not going to lie on something big? How do we know if George Santos, even if he does little white lies, it's not good? Because what happens if he has a big corrupt scandal or something like that? That means he would probably lie in it, because we can see in his record he has lied in the past. So I think it does matter. Next in the news is, that's our news section. We have a news section. Now, for our next section, we're going to do our 2024 election, or our prediction for an election. So now we are both going to talk about the Senate elections in 2024. So this is the segment where we talk about an election, a different election every time. We'll probably switch out. So, yeah. So this is my screen. My prediction is safe Washington, safe California, lean Nevada, tilt Montana, safe Wyoming, safe Utah, tilt D in Arizona, safe in New Mexico, Republican in Nebraska, and the Dakotas, Texas. Texas is probably going to be likely. Safe Hawaii. Safe Minnesota. Barely likely. Michigan. Wisconsin would be lean. Sorry about that. Pennsylvania safe. Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, blah blah. All of these safe states would be safe. Is that Bob Mendez in New Jersey?
Yeah.
Never mind. That's gonna be likely.
Did last time elections have that as safe? I forgot.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I think it would be likely because Bob Mendez is cuckoo, and the New Jersey GOP is not that bad of a party. So, and I think Florida would be likely too. And Indiana could have the chance of being likely if Joe Donnelly enters the race, but probably not. Joe Manchin would probably lose by a lean margin. And Ohio will be pretty close.
Why was safe red? Even in 2020, even in 2022, it wasn't even safe red.
Well, what state?
Missouri.
I don't think there's a strong enough candidate against Josh Hawley in Missouri. And Democrats are not going to pay attention like they usually do in Missouri, sadly. So
here's what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be like a 2020 Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell. I don't think that they're going to get very far, but they're going to spend big money on it in the hope that they could maybe unseat a in their mind extremist, and he is an extremist.
Yeah, Missouri, Josh Hawley is one of the most unpopular senators, but it's Missouri. Democrats, best chance, 6 points. Hawley for them probably. Likely, I don't know. Maybe if I use 15-point margins, I would put this in likely. But because I use 10-point margins, I'll have to put this in safe. Let me explain some of the swing states. Montana, Jon Tester is obviously one of the very moderate Democrat. He has a 22 plus approval rating in a 13 or like a 13 plus Trump state, which is amazing for like a Democrat. Moderate, everybody likes him. He's going to do well with Native American votes. There is a growth in population. So I think that's why Jon Tester's going to win. Also, my throat. The Native American. I said that right. I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, Jon Tester is a pretty strong candidate. Nevada, Jackie Rosen is going to do pretty well. There's not a lot of strong candidates in Nevada to go against her. Obviously, Catherine Cortez Masto, who is a little like Jackie Rosen and Catherine Cortez Masto are kind of the same with popularity. Jackie Rosen can be a little bit popular. Problem for her, she doesn't talk with the press too much. But she's going to do well. If Catherine Cortez Masto could win against Adam Laxalt by almost a lean margin, I would say Jackie Rosen has this down, especially in a presidential year. Arizona, Kyrsten Sinema becoming an independent is obviously probably good for Democrats because I think that likely Gallego is going to become the Democrat nominee and the Republicans are going to have a weak candidate. Kyrsten Sinema is going to get a lot of moderate voters, but not enough Democrats. So Gallego is going to get some moderates, and basically the whole Democratic base was just going to help him win.
Okay.
And also Biden is going to do well here. So Amy Klobuchar is going to do well because she does very well in the suburbs and is a presidential year. Amy Klobuchar is just a pretty good candidate. She does well pretty statewide, so not a lot to say about Minnesota. Tammy Baldwin is one of the most popular senators, and she doesn't have a lot of strong Republican challengers either. So that's why Debbie Stabenow, pretty popular. Again, not a lot of strong contenders yet. That sneeze gave me a jump scare. I'm not going to lie.
Am I going to share my map or?
Yeah. And then you could explain it if you, please. Bob Casey does well with independents, does well with some moderate Republicans, and does very well with Democrats. Obviously, he's a very, sorry about that. He's a very popular candidate. And, senator. Bob Mendez likely, because he's very scandalous. I'm not even going to talk about all the scandals he has. Sherrod Brown, because it is a presidential year and Trump is going to be favored. but he's still a pretty popular senator, and a lot of people like him. Well, overall, it's not going to do a lot for him. And I'll great candidate for West Virginia, but it's just Washington's too partisan these days. So that's it for me. I'll leave it to election forecast now.
Okay. So obviously we're gonna have a bunch of safe states: Washington, California. Washington might narrow up to right under 15 points, but I really doubt it. We're gonna have a bunch of safe states on the East Coast too for the Democrats: Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, Massachusetts, Vermont. Maybe a couple of these could tighten, but at the end of the day, it's not really gonna happen. Maine, I would put in likely. I think that Angus King is leaving. It's most likely going to be Sarah Gideon who replaces him, or
Ooh, that's a pretty good candidate for Sarah Gideon.
Yeah.
I like her.
Delaware and Maryland, no surprisingly safe. Maybe New Jersey could be safe, but I think in the presidential year, I'll put it in likely right now, probably around an 11-point victory, like in 2018. Maybe if Glenn Youngkin's the nominee, I doubt he will run. I'll put this in likely right now.
I don't think so, in my opinion.
Probably around a 14-point victory, yeah.
Tim Kaine is severely underrated.
And safe Democratic states, we obviously have Utah, Nebraska. Nebraska's second. That race special. That race could get interesting. We'll see how if the Republicans nominate a bad candidate, the Democrats. Looks like you're going to nominate a really good candidate. I believe she's a former congresswoman. That might be likely, but I think as of right now, it's probably just maybe safe. Indiana, maybe likely, very doubtful. We'll see who the nominee is there. Eric Holcomb, he isn't the most popular guy. Maybe he'll win, but probably not. Tennessee, doubt that would be competitive. Maybe if Phil Bredesen won, but that's going to be safe along with Mississippi. Minnesota, I would put in safe. I could see this narrowing up to likely, but as of right now, it won't be. Hawaii will also be safe. And New Mexico, I'm going to put in likely, probably around
Is Martin Henrich in there?
I think so. Yeah, it was Henrich. Why it was so close last time is because Gary Johnson was running as a libertarian. If he runs again,
GAFLLMSLATXNMAZCAN.
Sorry.
No problem.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. Maybe this could be closer. We'll see if Renacci's the nominee or if they can nominate someone good. Maybe that would be a little closer, but as of right now, I'll put that as like. The Rust Belt, the former Blue Wall, will most likely be likely. I would put Wisconsin and Michigan, and likely those are two really good candidates.
I think Wisconsin's a hot take for the likely.
I'll put Wisconsin. I'll put Pennsylvania in lean. They're nominating David McCormick. He's a fine candidate.
Ooh, that's interesting. Likely Wisconsin and lean Pennsylvania. I've never seen that before.
He's a decent candidate. He's not the best candidate. He was better than us. He would be
David McCormick. David McCormick's actually not that great of a candidate, in my opinion. He's a carpetbagger.
He would be the next. He would be the next United States senator from Pennsylvania if he was the nominee. He probably would have won by a likely margin. In West Virginia, I really doubt that Michigan can hold on. It's possible, but as of right now, I have him losing by 4 to 7 points. I think is fair.
Yeah, I agree.
We're gonna put Florida in likely along with Missouri. Florida, nobody really likes him. He's a fine candidate.
No one likes him. Yeah.
I doubt he'll be able to do good. But Missouri, again, someone's gonna bring up real fundraisings. Probably the state auditors who's leaving. She's a Democrat, or maybe Jay Nixon might be able to do it. I'll put Texas in. I'll put in Till R. Here's why. Ted Cruz is so unpopular. He has polarized himself so much that I doubt that even people in Texas will be able to stand him. O'Rourke's not going to be the nominee. It's likely going to be Castro or Alvin, I think his name is. Most likely them in one of those two. Also, people have always said that they plan to primary Cruz, so Cruz will win that, but we'll see what happens there. But as of right now, it has a tilt R. I have Ohio as tilt D, and here's why. If you look at the results from 2020, Ryan lost by 6 points. And on the other side, that would be, that's kind of bad. Not in Ohio. Ohio went 9 points to Trump in 2016.
No, 8.
But if you also look at the House races, they overperformed substantially in the House races. Quebec to win. They actually flipped the cup. They flipped either 1 or 2 seats in Ohio, which was very surprising. If you look at the statewide races, it might have not been the best. But if you look at the local races in the rural areas where Brown has said that he can do well, has proven that he can do well in, I think that's where he's going to do well.
Interesting take there. I think you did have the governor's race at tilts in Texas too, and that kind of
I changed that. I had it at tilt in August while everyone was thinking it's gonna be a huge. When I ever thought it was actually gonna be a blue favorable year. Then I had it likely.
Oh, okay, good. I would have this one at lean at best, in my opinion. What's your opinion on Montana?
As for right now, I have that. We'll get to these states. I want to first start with Arizona. I have that as lean D. If the Democrats are smart, they're not going to nominate someone. They're just going to nominate. They're going to keep with Sinema. I think that Gallagher is going to keep pushing for them to run people. But I think at the end of the day, Democrats are smart enough to realize that they don't have a prayer in the world if they nominate. The votes are going to split, and whoever the nominee is, Blake Masters, Carrie Lake, or Mark Lamb, they're going to win by a likely margin. So I think at the end of the day, they're going to be smart enough. I think Sinema will most likely win by about 3 points. And Nevada, the Republican nominee there, he's the pawn shop guy.
Rick Harrison.
Yeah. I think that he's going to be the Dr. Oz of 2024. He's a TV personality who's I think that they can nominate some really good people. Joe Lombardo, the former governor there, who won by almost 30 points in 2014. But if Harrison's the nominee, which he most likely will be, I'll have that as maybe even likely, but as of right now, I'll keep that as lean.
Okay.
Okay, and then we have Montana. I will put Montana in tilt D. Here's why. Tests are so popular.
Yeah.
I think that he has beaten polarization before in the state during presidential years, and I think that he'll be able to do that again. So here's our final map. My final map, 50-50. Democrats keeping control, only losing 1 state, in the state of West Virginia. Democrats might be able to pick up Texas or maybe Florida. We'll see what happens in Florida. When we got closer, that might be closer. Rick Scott is not a good candidate. I don't think anyone thinks he is.
Yeah. Yeah, he's honestly a terrible person too. Like,
so I'll also
voting against hurricane relief is honestly a crappy thing to do, especially when the people in your state are affected by it.
I'll put that in lean because I think why people are putting this in likely is because they saw what happened in 2022 and 2022, and they're like, oh no way, this is lean. But those were some. I don't think that they were good candidates, but people thought that they were good candidates. Florida, so that's why they won. It's about however, and now I have that as about a 5-point victory for. I would say. Yeah, around 5-4 for
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So now I'm gonna end the podcast. Gonna end soon, but now this part of the podcast I'm gonna call your voice, your money. I don't know. I'm trying to be creative. We'll see how this works out. So in my community tab, I'm gonna give 2 Democrat candidates. I want everybody to vote who to give money to them. So everybody should vote for these two. So the options are Debbie Stabenow. Wait, whoever wins the votes tally, I'm going to give $1 to. So Debbie Stabenow, Michigan Senate, or Sherrod Brown in Ohio Senate. So you guys, after watching this, please go to my community tab and pick who.
We need Michigan. We need Ohio more than Michigan, to be honest.
Still, it's $1. It's not going to change too much. So you guys, well, you can vote in my community tab. So everybody, this is the end of the podcast. Thank you. Sorry, this is like a trial one. I want to see what works and what's not. So tell me what you guys want to see in the podcast, because I really want your guys' information. And if you're a Republican watching this podcast, I'll still want your opinion, even though this is called the Democrat perspective. So please still say what you think. So yeah, this is the podcast. Thank you guys, and remember to vote in the community polls. Bye, and see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.